all kinds of curveballs to us when we're not
Kobe's
on camera,
fell for them before.
So we're here into the bans and picks then. First two coming out quickly for Gambit. Going to be Nunu and Elise. RNA, of course, has played Elise in that jungle as well, actually, in the last week. Nunu is another RNA champion. Thresh taken out against Jerry. No surprises from that one. Other side, Evelyn, a champion that Diamond has been really happy with. Twisted Fate taken out because it's Twisted Fate.
Absolutely. Will Shen get banned out? No. Jace will go, which means will Darian select Shen? Will he take it in that top lane, or does he have something else up his sleeve? Remember, he's played Lissandra a few times in that top lane as well, so may even just take that one to spite alternates, even though Frelunl's not even here.
Well, it allows them to maybe have Shen, as you said, and I could already hear Kerp in the other room just let out a little, oh, not again.
He's like,
really?
Please,
do I have to do it again? But that might not happen for them here. Gambit may take him away on the first pick, but there's still quite a few options open. Alex Ich, as you said, he's Orianna, which we were kind of surprised to see him bring out in Moscow, although he
didn't die though, did he?
No, and he's 2 for 2 with that Orianna as well right now, so he's certainly capable with the Orianna. And we said, you know, we don't see a lot of that out of him, which we haven't, apart from maybe on his stream where, you know, there's a million more games than we get to see on a weekly basis here. Right now, Darian cycling through, and it will be the Shen, as Kerp says, yes.
Kerp, I think, maybe doing a dance in his seat right now.
There he is,
look at it, look, RNA is just like, yeah, okay, you get to play something else, and it will be Vladimir, it seems. So you said he's already picked up a win on it. Looks like he's going to be happy to switch straight away. Of course, well, we'll see how that works out for Gambit. Darian on Shen, you know, the split push in Shen. Oh, no, they're not going to go for it just yet. They are going to lock in the support Fiddlesticks, which we have seen Jay replay a few times before, and RNA are going for that. Jungler, this time around, not going to be Lee Sin. I wonder if, come on, Diamond. Come on, you can do it, Diamond. I asked you this morning, I was like, I want to see you playing Lee Sin. He's like, he's still not very good. I'm like, well, the whole of Korea seems to disagree with you right now. Can you just throw us a bone?
And the top team in the European LCS seems to disagree with that one as well. Apparently not today. Yeah, to touch back on the Fiddlesticks, we've seen it twice from Jerry. He's picked up wins both times with that, so statistically good pick for Jerry now that Thresh has been banned out, which has really been his main champion to go to. Jarvan actually in the jungle here. Interesting one from RNA. You know, we've seen him with that Lee Sin. Hecarim seems to be his fallback when he doesn't get that Lee Sin, but seems to be a Jarvan today.
And there's the Sona again. Gambit always make sure they get that Sona. Looks like it will be Ashe as well. Genja, of course, taking that Tear of the Goddess, which he has been a few times. I prefer to see him on Ashe. I do like him on Ashe, honestly. He is a very good AD carry. Always positions himself perfectly come the team fights. And sure enough, just about like the Empire days, he's going to be taking Ashe again.
And they may have taken these two champions here to hinder alternates communication. You know, a Sen and an Ass in one game could be difficult for RNA to get across to the rest of his team. Just kidding with you, mate. I hope he watches this one later on. He'll have a laugh at that. But alternate now on picks 3 and 4. What are we expecting here? I'd say the AD carry to come out here for alternate. You'd be expecting them to leave that mid lane champion for the last pick.
Well, we'll see which way they're going to go. Of course, we did see them highlighting that Vlad. Will be, Creaton, of course, making a return, but more importantly, Kale coming out. That will probably be the mid laner. That may well be White Knight's choice.
You'd expect so. I mean, it surprises me somewhat that they've gone for that right at this very stage right now, if that is the mid laner, because they have final pick, but maybe they're confident enough in that and how it's going to go down. Let's see what Alex Ich basically picked up here right now. That's going to be the real interesting one. Of course, what Diamond brings out in the jungle. There's a Tryndamere, which I'm not falling for because Darker has really continued the trend of Edward here as well. But you know, Tryndamere is not exactly the most surprising pick anymore.
But Alex did actually play it at the All-Stars, if you remember rightly. Yeah. It didn't go very well. Didn't go very well at all. It's not quite the Void Boy Tryndamere that we've been seeing, but definitely did play it. Of course, we have seen the lane switches as well. There is potentially Ryze. See what the final choice will be. Rumble also selected. This, of course, could mean that Udyr has been played a lot by in the jungle, and it will be Diamond on Udyr again, which means that's going to be Alex Ich on Ryze and Darian on the top lane with Shen again. So what will the choice be? Could it be Zed? It was Vladimir selected earlier on. It will be Zed locked in. So now the question is, which lane will Zed end up in? I suspect the top lane. But we are seeing Kurt with Kayle so far.
Now, I think they pretty much tried to bait Gambit into thinking that Kayle was going to be in the mid lane, which, as I said, surprised me that they picked it in so early if it would have been the mid choice. In the end, they're going for this Zed, so it's going to be up against Alex Sitch, a player who knows a lot about Zed, but Ryze is also his favorite champion. We saw it on the pro player spotlights. He went for that Ryze in there as well, so definitely handy with the Ryze.
Yeah, if you think back to the Moscow 5 days, back in Intel Extreme Masters Kiev, when they first really broke through into the scene, it was see hero, kill hero. Ryze was the champion that he was using. It was just boom, room, prison, explode. Absolutely everything diving on him. And again, we're seeing Udyr from Diamond. I still yet to be overly impressed by Diamond's Udyr, but I'm not going to question a guy that has set the jungle afire so many times. This time, of course, Spirit Guardian not available. Will be available next week, though, ladies and gentlemen. It will be coming out. But we are on 3.8 patch, and as he ponders, I thought he was going to go into the whole meditating thing going on there. I was just like, wow, maybe it technically is his meditating pose. But he's got Darian alongside him. That's going to be a comforting factor for him. He knows what to expect from Darian, good or bad.
I think good on the whole. I mean, this is a player that he's been sat next to a lot of times. You know, these are two players that have obviously been in this roster all the way back to the days when they were the Empire team, when we first really got a sniff of them qualifying for that Intel Extreme Masters Kiev event with a crazy Nunu in the bush thing going on there, which is to this day still known as doing an Empire. I think pretty much the only thing that Empire have got going on right now when it comes to League of Legends either way. But, you know, if we look at how Gambit are doing right now, yes, they had a terrible week last week, but they had that substitute in there. Before that, they were on a hot streak. They were 6 wins without a defeat. So, you know, technically, this is a very strong Gambit right now. This is a Gambit on a roll.
Maybe they needed Vitaly just G'ing the crowd up for them, you know. Comadad Gambito! Here we go. It is going to be Gambit gaming as the blue team, and the red team will be alternate, and we are about to get things underway. Will Gambit be able to get a grip of yourself, man? Will Gambit be able to pull themselves back a win here, or another win, I should say, against alternate, and close that gap on the top spot?
Well, we now know who's going to be running the stage if we go to Moscow again. Thanks for that one, Demon. So, we're going to see quite a crazy level 1 as we saw in the last match. Probably not there as the flag comes down on towards Diamond. And we should talk about how he's gone with this Udyr before, because he's kind of shied away from that Phoenix Udyr. And you can see again there, he's gone Tiger first. Yeah, just like he did before, leveled up the Tiger, completely maxed it out as well. And we'll see whether he goes that route again. I'm sure Jat will be watching with absolute attention, because it's interesting to see the junglers, they're all starting with the Doran's Blade as well. We haven't got the same from RNA this time around, but a lot of junglers, certainly in the Korean team as well, from the OGN, the last 3 days have all been going with that Doran's Blade start. So it's definitely a trend that's picked up. Maybe, just maybe, there's a few changes afoot for the jungle. But as it stands, it's looking like it's going to be a stalemate. Not quite the exciting start we had for Meteor Makers. Not quite, but a lot on the line here. Let's not forget, it's 1 versus 2 in terms of standings here in our summer split. So there's a lot on the line for both of these. One alternate looking for that revenge against a much more equal crowd, I guess we can call them here in Cologne. A fantastic crowd nonetheless, but certainly not quite as Gambit biased as, of course, we had over in Russia. But right now the start has come down. We can see there that Diamond will be getting that red buff first of all as he hits level 2 with a pickup of that, going straight into his turtle stance for number 2. On the other side, Aranea took away the blue. So 2v1 lanes, it's going to be top and bottom. You can see here, it is going to be Creaton and J-Reed versus Darian. We'll see how that one works out. Darian returning from his illness will get bullied out of the lane straight away as I mute myself. Well done, don't know why I did that. But the bottom lane, it is going to be Kerp on Kayle, 2v1. We'll see how this works out. It's something we've seen Dyrus actually running quite a lot of in the North American scene. Not too sure whether he's done it too many times for TSM itself. J-Reed actually getting caught by Darian. Look at the damage he's managing to put back on J-Reed, of course. Still both only level 1, and Fiddlesticks not the strongest at the early levels. No, but the good thing about Fiddlesticks as he goes through is obviously going to be able to get that health back a little bit later. And that fear is always something you have to be careful about here coming in for this. So we shall have to see as Aranea is right now sniffing around the middle. Alexic had already gone to the bottom side. That ward on the corner bush, I think, just about spotting Aranea's position coming in. That's what I touched on before this game. The fact that Ferelnord and Aranea had put so much work in together for the victories as White Knight gonna take a blast there from Alexic. And that's the danger at these early levels, that White Knight is going to be susceptible to what Alex can throw at him.
Well, we also see Diamond, he's coming down to this bottom lane. We also saw the volley catching on to Kerp. He's already been slowed down. Diamond's going to come straight in. He is backing well away from this one. It's going to be that 3-minute 30 turret.
Yeah, already onto that one. Aranea is actually going to try and come in and stop this one happening. They should realize that that's going to happen with the fact that Kerp has come around the side. They're going to actually going on towards Genji here. There's a lot of minions, but the damage is decent, and they turn it around on towards Aranea, and it will be first blood for Diamond. The flash away from Genji. He will be finished off by the Ignite, though, and that will be a killer piece at the start, but it is Diamond who got the first blood.
Yeah, absolutely, and Gambit picking up the 2 assists, going to help them out, give them the advantage, but with the AD carry down, it stops the turret push, which you can see Alternate trying to do themselves on this top lane, but just with the 2. They have put damage down on towards it, but Kerp, he can't hold this wave of minions that keeps on coming towards him. As much as he tries to take it around, they're going to flash straight in and full on aggression. Diamond getting straight on towards him.
And that's the danger. I think it was Jason that touched on it last week, of this whole Doran's blade start makes an Udyr at these levels very, very dangerous. When we saw there, just a flash, the stun in onto him, able to lock down that Kayle. Obviously doesn't have his ultimate available right now at level 3 only. So a very good little bit of play there coming out of Diamond. And right now he's going to be able to recall right under the nose of Aranea.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, you can see it's going to be White Knight getting caught out, flashed away, but one more shot should do it, but White Knight flashes. He will get away from that one, but Alex, it's really bullying this new boy in the mid lane.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the points of focus here for Gambit as well, to get White Knight, make him nervous, keep pressuring him there, as Gambit are going to see Darien stunned up here against the wall. Not quite got the damage to finish him off just yet here with that level 4 Vayne.
Well, we have double CS now for Alex because of that pressure he's been applying on towards him, 37-16. Also, though, the AD carries, look at this, Kraton, he's been getting free farm in his top lane against Darien, 42 CS to 18 of Genji. Genji gone for that double. Doran's blade, though, of course, did get killed off. Where is Diamond Prox going in the bottom lane?
He's going back down there once again. We see Aranea having to get away, just getting stunned up as he slides through from that. And just the presence of that man-bear-tiger Phoenix Turtle is very, very scary at this point, especially with those 2 kills that he's got, and he's got himself the boots and the Spirit Stone here already. He's got a leading CS, and he's going to be going in for a very, very early dragon, something that we saw him go for. In fact, the last one of the last times we saw him playing that Udyr was that sticks in your mind is the flash into the dragon pick to pick up the dragon at a very early stage. This time, not going to need that flash to get things underway, and that will be a 6-minute dragon for Gambit.
Aranea didn't want a piece of that.
No.
He was even got a level over Diamond, and he was just like, I do not fancy fighting you right now. I'm just going to let you walk away from this one. But we saw the first turret of the game going down, so Alternate managing to pick that one up. That defense in that bottom lane proving successful, and they have managed to switch those lanes around. So they've held on to that turret to start with here. So we'll see how pivotal that can be. We can see the 1,000 gold advantage for Gambit, of course. Diamond Prox doesn't have flash, so he's simply doing a drive-by on White Knight, and White Knight's just forcing him to back away. Gets all aggressive on him, throws that bear stance down, and look at the damage he just plowed down on White Knight.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's that Doran's blade at the start. The fact that he's actually got a lot of levels on him there as well is a pretty strong thing to have in. But you've got to be scared of this Udyr now. He's performing brilliantly down, being in the right place at the right time. Managed to flash in for his second kill right underneath the turret, which is, again, something that you can do when you've got Turtle stance to rely on there to tank up the turret as well.
So it's just dawned on me. I remember why Diamond was so bad on Udyr the other week when he played it, because there was so much crowd control. There's barely any crowd control here for Alternate. This may well be a serious problem for him. He's going full on aggression here. He doesn't care. Stan United's going to come out. Darian's going to get the Shadow Dash, catches both of them. J-Ree's going to be the focus of target. He's going to get dropped down, but we see Aranea coming in for the protection. The Ignite will take him down. It was Darien that picked up the kill, and now they're going to clean up the blue buff.
Yeah, looking for a blue here, and again, perfectly executed by Gambit. Just when you've got Diamond, you think, right, Diamond's on his own. We can kill him now. We can... Shen. They forgot about Shen, and that was the key point in that one, that Darian got himself in there, he just hit level 6, and as soon as they did, they make the play happen, and this is just fantastic all-around play. This is the Gambit that had 6 wins in a row without answer. They are looking so very good here.
Yeah, 2-0-1 on Diamond already. He's coming back towards his top lane. He's starting to become a problem across the board already. That aggression maybe is paying off. And Alexic, he's sniffing around. He wants his blue buff, puts the ward on Banana. He's found Kerp, though. Kerp tries to come in and interrupt. He's like, get the hell away from my blue buff. It is a very angry Diamond Prox right now. He's on a mission.
On a mission, and you can see with that Tiger leveled up how quickly he's beasting through everything there. That blue buff going to be picked up for them. And now White Knight here in that mid lane. He starts to claw a bit of CS back, but he's 20 or so behind still at this point. Alexic already got that tier in there and has started stacking that one up as he goes. And that's only going to be helped out with the fact that he has that blue buff with the mana regen and those cooldown reductions for him to really be having fun with that. Right now, J-Ree was just stood on top of a ward, so Genja knew he was there, not going to be bullied away with that one. And credit where it's due here to Genja as well. He was miles behind Creaton when we looked at CS earlier on. He's now actually ahead of him.
Yeah, they've actually managed to pull it back in there. Darker getting caught a little bit there, but straight away the volley forces Creaton back. Wanted to go aggressive on that one. Look at the mid lane though. Alexic versus White Knight. It is a big difference starting to separate here. We do see Aranea trying to sneak down towards this bottom lane, try and create a play, but once again, look who is coming. It's the Bearman Pig.
He is off to the side of this one, and every time you hear that switch out to the bear stance, you've got to be very scared. Actually standing on top of a ward here, alternate backing off, just giving that one away, and just in the background you just hear that. Always danger where that's involved, and he's coming back in, going back out, coming back in. He knows that there's a ward there, but he can control them right now with his position. It's quite simple.
He's growling at them, and it's keeping 3 members of alternate at bay. That's all he's got to do, Diamond. Honestly, just take one look at him, and when he speaks, you just think, is that right? Is that body doesn't come out with that voice? Something's not right here. And now in the game, he's just growling at them as well.
That's his favorite chat up line as well, everyone. Goes into a bar, all the men disappear.
Oh, the top lane, though, we see Kerp trying to switch it round, but his ultimate's already run out. The aggression continues on Darian. Darian, I feel, was just trying to bait him out a little bit more so he could shadow dash back on towards him. White Knight forced to get away from this one. The arrow is going to catch on towards J-Ree. Bear stance coming straight in. Alexic picks up the kill. They can't get the damage on towards Diamond. They're going to cataclysm down. Crescendo comes out. He's safe. Alexic picks up a second. Now can he get a third? He's going on towards Creaton. He's already used the flash, so they will back away, but it's a 2-0 again for Gambit. They're 5-1 up.
And look at that, alternate used everything there on Diamond. Absolutely everything. The death mark even from White Knight. And now Aranea going to be caught out. He's not escaping that one. It's Alex that picks up his 3rd kill. And this surely will be an outer turret here in the middle lane. The first one of the game, actually, for Gambit. But with that Tiger Udyr in there, they're not getting rid of that one. Actually, the bottom turret does go down first. That was, of course, very low from earlier on. And Gambit execute another perfect plan. And that was one that alternate really started on this on that middle turret. And they just didn't have the damage to go through the Udyr.
And it was the arrow from Genja at the bottom
that
lane.
Was fantastic.
He just carried on farming. He didn't even come up to fight it. But the fact that he can just continue his farming presence and have an impact on the fight from the bottom lane without even flinching was immaculate. So Genja, he's gone back and got himself the BF sword. We're seeing obviously Blade of the Rune King trying to get built up by Creaton, but he's falling behind. And remember, this is Creaton who used to have the insane KDA at the start of the season. He's not managed to make any impact so far and is falling way behind in terms of CS. 86 to 58. He had a 30 CS advantage at the start of the game. He's now lost that and gone completely the opposite direction. So Genja's really brought himself right back into it. You can see he's got 1,200 gold advantage, but Alexic, he is absolutely beasting the mid lane. 3-0 up. 4.7 thousand gold almost built up, and yet we see White Knight, bless his little cotton socks. He's the new man that coming into it to replace Pharrell Lord as a temporary substitute, but he's still shy of 3,000 gold, almost 2k behind his mid laner.
Yeah, I'm really happy you talked about the KDAs there as well, because Creaton was only behind Freeze coming into this, who, he's played 2 games that they won last week NIP, so it's kind of biased to look at it as him being in the top. That will, of course, change this week. And you've got Kerp in 2nd place, so Alternate got 2 men up up there in that KDA as another Dragon goes down here for Gambit. After that, it was Genja, who is actually in 4th place, but he's had a week off. So, you know, Genja is a big man in this setup for them. He's ahead in the CS now. That arrow across map earlier on, a very big play. Genja, of course, hasn't had a week off. I'm talking about Darian in that one. I somehow got myself confused for a second there. But either way, Genja, for me, has stepped up a lot for this Gambit team. He was kind of the quiet one that wasn't talked about too much in this Gambit team. And right now, leading the KDA, at least until this game where Alex is romping him home.
And if you think back to the spring split, Gambit were the only team that really cared about those KDA stats.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised before the end of this game to see Creaton focused heavily. It's like, we're not going to end it until we kill you at least 5 times. So we'll see where that works out for them. There is 3 members of Gambit lingering off at the side, but they're going to get spotted out by Aranea with that Demacia standard. And we do see Creaton. He's getting free farm in the bottom lane this time around, so maybe he's going to buy himself a little bit of time. It's buying alternate time as well to keep that lane push, keep them away. While this is all happening, Genji continues to build that tier of the Goddess. We know as soon as he gets around the 30-minute mark, he's going to have that the Muramana ready and waiting to be exploded upon alternate.
Yeah, we've got the Rod of Ages now done here for Alex Ich, and so the extra AP and that health and whatever you're going to be stacking in there as things go along. On the other side, a couple of cutlasses coming out, which of course will be turned into those blades of the Ruin King in a little while. There's Diamond, Darker just waiting in the jungle here. Oh, it's all gone a little bit quiet there, but they're just waiting as Diamond is going to charge around the corner here. Puts a stun down onto the red buff, and he's like, come on, Aranea, do you want to play? And Aranea says, yes, I do want to stick in for this one. Will it be a bad thing for him, though, as Kurt here on the top lane? Well, not even a contest there. Let's get back to red buff. Now, so that's the interesting part. Diamond did actually take that there. Aranea got no red buff, as Darian going to get hammered away here by White Knight and by Creaton, but he's Shen after all, and he's going to walk off from that.
Yeah, he managed to flash Shadow Dash. I thought Diamond was actually going to come around the side, but chose the wiser path because, after all, they're still split pushing. Alex is at the top, Genja's down the bottom. Gambit are just pushing both the bottom lanes and the mid lane right now. Alex actually maybe had to take that turret down, chose not to, instead just to wipe out that lane. So he's managed to come up, kill Kerp. Alex is in dominant form right now. He's got 4-0. He's already managed to get that Rod of Ages. You can see him at the top lane. Nobody dare go near this man right now.
No, and for good reason. We saw what happens to Kerp there, who's got an ultimate that can keep him invulnerable. I mean, that is a lot of damage that's coming out from Alex Ich. You can see that Genja, constant slows coming out. He's got a BF Sword double Doran's Blade in there as well, so he's going to be doing a lot of damage. Meanwhile, in the top lane, you can see it in the bottom left of your screen, Alex actually flashing in onto Kerp once again, and he's gone very low and forced away from that lane. Alex is just bossing this top side of the map.
Absolutely bullying him away. 50 CS advantage over the mid laner of White Knight so far. White Knight can't get close to this one. He's in all manner of problems. He's trying desperately to get some damage out there, but Gambit, they have all 3 lanes completely dominated. We saw Creaton, while that was happening in the top lane, also come down, have a little poke towards Genja. Genja just turned it back around again. Kerp comes down there. Alex Ich pops the ulti, pushes him straight out of lane again. Not a chance to get close to this one, while all 3 lanes continue to be pushed. Alternate have no answer to Gambit right now.
Now Gambit, especially Alex here in this top lane, look at his CS difference. That is just fantastic. And he's pulled that one up at this point. They're finally going to come around and try and cover this top lane, but Darian using the Shen to push this mid lane out. It's Genja, who's free farming once again with big waves on the bottom side of the map. He's now got a 12 or so CS lead over his opponent in this one. He's going to be going back here with a good amount of gold. I think he's been on those items for quite a while right now, so gold should definitely be with him, as it should be with Alex Ich. Yeah, look at that, 1900 for Genja, 2.7 thousand gold for Alex Ich to spend on his way back.
Well, while everybody tries to go up and focus on Alex, he backs away. The mid turret gets pushed. It's Shen that's actually pushing the mid lane. He's meant to be the split pusher. He's going up the mid lane while everybody else split pushes. Everybody's doing their own thing right now. Look at the gold between Diamond and Aranea as well. Look at that. It's nearly 2,000. It's over 2,000 gold now, in fact. He's just managed to stretch that one over 3,000 gold now for Alex versus White Knight. There is huge gaps across the map right now. It's nearly 10,000 gold across the board. Just 17 minutes into this game. 3-1 in turrets. Alternate finally trying to collect themselves together and push on towards this mid turret, but they can't do anything. Bearman Pig is there. They dare not go near him.
And one thing that's really important to how this is going for Gambit right now, if we look down at Genja and look how he's playing that bottom lane, he's completely frozen it away from Creatine. And as I say that, he auto-attacks them all down, but he's been doing that for a while now, making sure that Creatine can't come down and farm because he's too far away from the turret. They can't put those wards down for him to be safe from the likes of the Udyr, who's got some prolific speed coming around into the lane, and for the Shen even that could just come in and join him right now. Creatine and Diamond may go head-to-head. Diamond's just waiting around for the blue buff. He's got Darker there to help him as well, and they are going to start off this blue buff, and I don't think Alternate can even dream about challenging for it. They're not.
And just to switch around, blue buff will get taken by Diamond. Alex continues to push the mid lane now, and now Darian off on the top lane. Darian actually getting aggressed upon a slight bit there by Kerp. He still fancies his chances there, although still I'm unsure on that one. But a 4-man Gambit down the bottom because they know there's 2 members of Alternate at the top. There's no chance they can fight for this one. It's going to be an inner turret for free for Gambit.
Yeah, inner turret at least. Not sure if they'll quite push through for the rest of it. That's going to be an interesting one as Kerp again bullied out by a Shen. Like, it's not a good scenario to be in for them right now, as Creatine actually getting slowed here by the action. Gambit are going to be going through that. Inhib turret already taking a good beating. Alexic and the crescendo from Darker, they're ready to pounce on that one. And Alternate are not trying to put up any challenge to this one. There they finally go. Aranea going in, crescendo lands on 3, and they're going to pounce through, and White Knight is right in there, though, on top of the ultimate from Jarvan. As they do decide to back away, it will actually be a 2-for-1 there. Well, Gambit come out ahead of that one, and they're going to keep pushing for this.
They can still go on towards the inhibitor turret. There's nothing to stop them, and they will take it down. They're just walking through the base of Alternate right now. They tried to fight them, they delayed it, they waited, but of course that's Stand United from Darian. The moment he comes out there, that's the inhibitor going down inside the 20-minute mark right now. Gambit are absolutely on fire. They have a point to prove. They were not happy about last week's results. They were not happy about losing that 6-game win streak, and it's showing. They are absolutely taking it to the #1 team in the European LCS right now.
Well, I'll apologize to you, Demon, there, because I wasn't expecting that they'd have what it takes to push straight through onto the inhib turret, never mind the inhibitor itself. But, well, Gambit proving me wrong once again, and they are looking in ship shape right now. An 11,000 gold lead, and that's only getting bigger as they pick up another dragon in this one. And they've just not really, Alternate have not really been a starter. They've been a bit of a non-starter in this game. Gambit really getting it early on. White Knight, I feel sorry for him in a way, because he's just been hammered in this mid lane early on there. We saw how he had to flash away from Alex, a man who is now up to 180 CS. That's 60 CS, I can't even count now. 60 CS more than what White Knight has. 5-1-1, and he is just on form with this Rise, and just showing that, now he doesn't play Rise for us very often, but when he does, my lord, is it scary.
Alexic has proven that he's not the god, and he can actually make mistakes on the blue buff there. 3 times it reset. Yeah, 3 times it reset. He's like, God, you die, will you? But he's still stacking up that tier of the goddess, or effectively the Archangel staff, into the Seraphs. He has, of course, just got himself the Glacial Shroud, is it, right now? And that's also going to cause problems, because now Creatine can't even do any damage towards him, and White Knight's going to struggle as well, because he's starting to get that armor out there. Once that Frozen Heart's built up, he's just going to be a tanky mess. Nobody could deal with him as he was. Kerp tries to come out there. Darian just bullies him straight out. That's another inner turret going down for Gambit, and there's not a great deal Alternate could do about it. They've got super minions pushing in the bottom. It's a perfect split push for Gambit now. They know the super minions are going to push for themselves. You can see that big giant wave about to end towards the base now. And Alternate, they're going to have to deal with this one, or they're going to have to deal with Gambit at the top.
And it looks like they're going to try and clip onto Darian, who just shadow dashes away. Darker here taking damage from Kurt, but he's not too scared of that one. Jerry's going to get burst down by Alexic. And they've not really lost any health in the meantime. Meanwhile, Genja is pushing up the middle lane here. Here comes the arrow across. Not quite the arrow from earlier on, but at least he's used it, I suppose. That's a bonus in my books. And this inhibitor turret is going to fall down, and I can't see how they can stop the inhib either.
They're taking the middle one as well. You can see Genja starting to do work on that turret as well. This inhibitor will go down. Kerp's desperately trying to get close, but I think Alexic really wants to find this kill. He's going to get the root. That's going to be the rune. Prison Crescendo comes across. Invulnerability will come out. White Knight's going to get focused. He tries to turn around. Will he have enough to pop? Darian will go down, but Kraton and the rest of the team are collapsing like a deck of cards right now. And Gambit are pulling the aces. And you can see it's going to be the Nexus turret going down. Gambit Gaming are going to rip apart Alternate in a record speed finish here. Fantastic play for them. 22 minutes gone. They have this game sewn up already. And Alternate are going to start this week off with a loss.
Amazing from Gambit. I did not expect them to come out from this. My point was, last week's Gambit that lost both of their games was not the Gambit that won 6 games in a row before that one. But I wasn't expecting a week off for Darian to really bring this life back into Gambit that they've shown here. Looking absolutely unstoppable. Really starting off there with Diamond, his Udia play. Bullying that bottom lane out completely. Genja then using the opportunity of that taken turret to freeze the lane almost on top of his own turret, completely denying Creatine from as much farm as he could. And speaking of farm, that man there that you see on the left, the substitute for this week for Alternate White Knight, really didn't have much of a chance in that lane against Alex. Bullied out completely, was getting nuked down every time he got near that one. And then Alex went off to form that top lane with the Rise. And well, just a dominant performance by Gambit, and it's just a great sign for, I think, for the league right now. Alternate were the top team at 8 for 2. Gambit now moving up to 7 for 4. Things are still wide open.
And I think we just saw White Knight there going, what happened to Alex? You just ran over me. Yeah. But more importantly, with Diamond on Udyr, fantastic play, but like you said, but surely if they knew that was coming, they needed some crowd control. They needed something to stop him. And straight from the start, I think Gambit were like, we know what they're picking. We've got them here. Because there was nothing at all to stop them. Last time he picked it, there was 5 CC crowd control champions available to control him. That's why he just couldn't do a thing. This time around, absolutely nothing to stop him. He was just running rampant at the start. And that just bought time for every single lane. And we saw it there, all 3 lanes. When all 3 lanes are winning like that, you're pretty sure you've lost the game.
Yeah, and I mean, the Kayle at the bottom lane, obviously, up until level 6, can't really survive what that Udyr Doran's blade Tiger Stance coming at him. I mean, he flashed in, stunned him up, and killed him under the tower. Like, that is ridiculous.
I've got a turtle shell, and I'm fine.
And I'm a tiger/bear at the same time. Just not really very nice dreams, I think, that Kerp's going to be having after that game.
He wants his Shen back.
Yeah. Can I have Shen, guys, please, next time? But Darian himself, we should mention him because, as we said, was ill last week, came back into it this week, and he looked brilliant on that Shen. Perfectly timing that first Stan United that, you know, it looked like Diamond, who was, I think, 2-0-2 by then, was finally going to have a bit of a shutdown and put back in his place, was like, ha, you forgot about Shen. He's just hit level 6. Level 6 comes in there, gets a taunt across, and the rest of the Gambit team just collapsing. And really, it just was so well executed across the board. I didn't really see anything there from Gambit that I said, oh, they did that wrong, because I don't think they did in that game.
There's a couple of things that you can take from this game. A, anyone that's playing Gambit this week, you may be in trouble right now because they look on fire. And B, Alternate themselves, after a defeat like that, second defeat to Gambit as well, by the way, are looking a little bit shaky right now. The fact that Ferelnord is there, we talked about it at the start, how much RNA and Ferelnord, that partnership seemed to work hand in hand with one another, didn't really look like it was there. RNA had to be down the bottom lane. He had to protect that turret. It worked to start with because it was Alternate that took the first turret at the top, and they did defend out that bottom. But you got to wonder at what presence, because there was no help for White Knight in that mid lane. RNA we've seen so often going to help Ferelnord, getting that ball rolling, starting to give them the pressure, but he had to be down that bottom lane, and Genja he was quite happy to carry on farming, and it actually allowed Darker, I think it was for a while, Darker, Darian, and Diamond were in the mid lane. Genja was off the bottom on his own. Alex, nobody wanted to go near him because he was a beast at that time. He didn't even get a chance to finish off the Tear of the Goddess. Neither did Genja, because the game didn't go on that long. 22 minutes long, game over.
Yeah, and that was the real problem for them. They couldn't stop Alex in what he was doing, which was constant pushing, constant farming. You saw Kurt went in there. He's like, no, I'm Kayle. I've got my ultimate. I should at least be able to get him low enough to force him out of the lane. Not really. He got nuked down instantly. And even the second time he came in, thinking, okay, last time I did plenty of damage to him, so now surely after respawning I can force him out of the lane. Actually, no. He had to back away from that once again. So just overall, Gambit starting off as they carrying on as they started off, I suppose we can say, if we completely forget about last week, because this was a different Gambit completely to what we saw lose 2 games.
Absolutely. Vitaly will be happy. right now back in Moscow, along with all the Russian fans. But I do believe that Jason is standing by with the insight on the first 2 games.
Thank you for that, Demon and Joe. I forgot your name for a little bit there, even though I just watched you cast the last 2 games. But we're changing things up a little bit. We're going to do this little bit of a analysis for the last 2 games. So we're going to go back, start with Fnatic versus Meteor Makers, which honestly was an intense first game. So 40 seconds in, we actually saw the first blood go down, which was actually for Fnatic. It was over onto Soaz on his Elise, got that first kill, but Meteor Makers turned around picking up 2 kills. And I want to point something out. Both kills went to Kuban. However, he actually lost his lane in terms of CS and how it went overall. We see that actually during the game, Sina was doing quite a bit of counter jungling. He took away, the blue buff from Meteor Makers, really tried to keep Makade down on that Nocturne. Took away some other camps as well, just to keep him under leveled. Don't let him hit that level 6 as early as he really wants to start these ganks going on. But Meteor Makers, they were doing very well throughout the entire game. They had a couple of really good team fights around the 27-minute mark. They had, like a 2 for 4 around Dragon. And it's a little unfortunate because you'll see in this replay coming up, they had a very good team composition. They had something called, it's not the ball delivery system this time, it's the bomb delivery system, where we saw it was Charu actually bomb up either Zac or bomb up Nocturne, have them go in, and then have the bomb explode around them, do the extra damage, and also have the ultimate for a little bit of safety. And I believe one of the last times we saw that was actually during EMS with Gambit when they ran Olaf in the top lane. So here's actually the replay. It's about 32.5 minutes in, 11-14 in favor of Meteor Makers. However, the gold was in favor of Fnatic. So I want to point out something real quick. As you just see the position around the map, so you have Makade, he's actually going to cause the whole initiate to happen. You have Soaz right here, and I want you to keep your eye on Soaz as we're going to start this replay up because it really just sets the fight going. He actually does something very important during the fight. We can start the replay any time now. There we go. So you're going to see them actually go for the hard engage here, but what Fnatic does is they back it up. They just try to kite the entirety of Meteor Makers. And let's go ahead and pause it right here real quick. As you notice, Makade, he's very low on health. I'm going to pause, but he's very low on health. And before anyone of Meteor Makers can even get there to attack, he actually goes down. The Crescendo actually ended up going onto only Mako. It shut him down. And you just see them kiting away. Even Makade, he's sticking a yellow star, and in the end, it wasn't that good of a trade, obviously, as it was a 5 for, it was a perfect ace and a Baron on top of that. So that's it for that replay. But overall, I mean, Fnatic, all they wanted to do was just kite as much as possible, make it so Meteor Makers couldn't really engage the perfect way they wanted to. During that fight, Soaz was in the back lines. He actually kept Mackler busy the entire time. Mackler didn't attack until I believe 2 of his teammates were even dead. So they shut him down, even though he was very strong in that game. And it was a very solid win for Fnatic with that new lineup in the bottom lane. But we also have, in that last game, as you saw, Gambit versus Alternate, and that was a very one-sided match, you have to say. Alternate, unfortunately, weren't able to get going, and it's all because of that Barret, all because of that sound you hear Diamond make when you ever talk to him. But I want to point out a couple things before we actually fully get into it, is that Diamond Proxy started with the Blade of the Rune, or not Blade of the Rune King, that'd be kind of overpowered, or the Doran's Blade. And because of that, he was able to take red very quickly, he was able to farm up very quickly, and able to put out extreme damage with that Tiger stance. So actually, yeah, no, let's do a little bit more. So we actually had Alex get 11-minute Rod of Ages in this game. And as a Ryze, getting a Rod of Ages that early is perfect. Like, that's the position you want to be in. If you get something like that early on, no one can trade you one versus one, as we did see in the end. And he was able to pretty much just control the game himself. Let's go ahead and start this replay up and just show you exactly what's going to happen here. It's over towards the mid lane, as we'll get there in a few seconds. But you see Ashe actually get the arrow up. Genja lands this arrow. As we pause it right here real quick, if we can do that, you're going to see Diamond. He gets condemned into the wall. And Joe and Demon point this out during the actual game, is that they throw everything possible at him, everything they could, and they could not kill him. So let's start the replay up. You're going to see him get condemned into the wall. You're even going to see the Zac ultimate come, or not the Zac, the Zed ultimate come down onto him, even the knockup out of Arnea, and they just cannot kill him. He ends up flashing away. They get 2 kills, and the game just really snowballed from there. And that was really the end of that replay, as we see. But Diamond Prox, I want to point this out. 20 minutes in, he was level 12. He was actually ahead in 4 levels compared to Arnea. The top lane for Gambit was ahead in one level. The mid lane was 4 levels ahead, and also the AD carries were 2 levels ahead. So not only were they beating them in just terms of kills, they were beating them in terms of levels with the whole composition they have. That's exactly what they want to do. Makes them a lot more stronger, especially even if they don't get the items necessarily built up. And I believe that's actually about it. So we're actually going to head over to Shox, who has an interview, I believe, with Alex Ich.
Absolutely, Jason. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm welcoming Alex Ich here in the interview lounge after a fantastic performance on Ryze. Is that all because your beloved Darian is back in the top lane?
So Diamond said that he was sick before the game and we need to end it fast so he can relieve.
No, but seriously, amazing game. Talk us a little bit through Bantam picks on their part. They had a Kayle, and you were up against Zed in the mid lane and White Knight. What was your experience?
So the most interesting part about that you don't know anything about the enemy player. He's not even like mid player. I mean, he plays any lane, and I just didn't know what he plays at all. So it is like, okay. And when Kayle was picked, I'm like, okay, Kerb didn't play Kayle, maybe it's Kayle mid. Okay, Ryze is fine. And then Zed is coming mid, and actually that matchup, I thought that it can be bad for me, but I was pretty used for it, and I watched a lot of this matchup and played it a lot, so it went easy for me.
And Diamond went for Udyr. Now, last week his Udyr performance wasn't the best. Why do you think it worked this time around? Is it just because your team is complete once again?
Yeah, I actually think that he didn't have Darian, his like dive body, and that everyone else. So he plays like his Udyr exceptional Doran Blade build, and it helps him. Like he can really hard dominate, and after like first 2 kills, he got so much advantage that he could just snowball it.
Okay. Talk us a little bit through the mindset and the practice in your team the last week around, because a team of your caliber going 0-2 last week must have not been easy to bounce back from.
It was like the week that you need to forget about. I mean, like we got the substitute and we played not really well, like everything going against us, so we just forgot about it and trained for the next week, and I think it's working fine for us at the moment.
Absolutely. Congratulations once again on a fantastic game on Rise. Now, the Lemon Dogs and Evil Geniuses are just 2 of the teams locked in the 4-way tie in the standings. Will Lemon Dogs' surprise roster swap give them an advantage against Snoopy and his crew? Stay tuned to find out as EJ takes on